Hello, I hope everyone is familiar with variable costs and fixed costs because we will be using them a lot in this chapter. Remember, variable costs are costs that change in production volume and fixed costs are costs that do not change with change in production volume, at least within the relevant range. In this chapter, we will learn how changes in production volume affect our costs and therefore our profits. But every time a manager wants to ask himself a question of the type, what if I can double my production volume? Or what if I increase the sale price of my pizza by 10%? Or what if I want to spend $500 more on advertisement? All these questions are asked with an intention of knowing the impact of what if question on profits. CVP analysis can help us answer all these questions and many, many more. For example, a manager may ask, what if I stop making one of the three products that I currently make? Or what if I want to take home an after tax income of $60,000 a year? How much would I have to sell to achieve that? So, we will learn to answer all these questions shortly by learning the relationship between revenue, costs, and profits. We will try to change only one variable at a time, keeping the others constant, and see the impact on others. Let us start by looking at a simple equation. It says that total sales revenue of a company minus all variable costs and all fixed costs will equal the profit of the company. Do you know the difference between profit and income? The term profit applies to a single product line typically, or a division of a company, and operating income is used for income of an entire company. We will use profit and income interchangeably because in the context of CVP analysis, both mean the same thing. So, if we rewrite the equation in symbol, excuse me, symbols, it would say S, which is sales revenue, minus variable cost, which is variable, minus VC, which is variable cost, and FC or F, which is fixed cost, is equal to income. I changed I from P, that is profit, to income simply because I want to reserve variable P for price per unit and do not want to confuse you with profit. So we will use I for income. Now think about each piece of this equation. What is sales revenue? It is the sales price per unit times the quantity sold. So we will use P for price and Q for quantity of production throughout this chapter. Now let's look at variable costs. Total variable costs are variable cost plus per unit, which is V, times the quantity per unit, which is Q. So we will use V for variable cost per unit and Q for quantity. After subtracting all costs from revenue, we will have only fixed costs left. We denote fixed costs by F, and since total variable and fixed costs are the total costs of the company, any leftover would be profit or income of the company. So we didn't do anything much to our basic equation. I hope that is clear. Now notice the portion in yellow. This is contribution margin. So contribution margin is the difference between sales revenue and variable costs. In other words, it is the money left over to cover our fixed expenses. If all fixed expenses are covered, remaining contribution margin will contribute towards profits. Contribution margin can also be expressed on a per unit basis. Let us try to rearrange the equation a bit and then take Q out of the brackets because it is common to both P and V. Fair enough? The highlighted part is the per unit contribution margin. It is the change in operating income for each additional unit sold. So, if we multiply the per unit contribution margin by the number of units sold, which is Q, we can get back to total contribution margin. Now, let us define a very useful concept in accounting. Break-even point is that quantity of output sold at which the company makes no profit and no loss. So, it breaks even. In other words, at break-even point, company's total revenues are exactly equal to its total cost. So loosely speaking, company is suffering a loss before break-even. At break-even point, it is at a zero profit, but at a zero loss too. After the break-even, the company begins to earn a profit. The more units a company sells after break-even, the more profit it will earn. Does that make sense? Let us take another look at our basic equation. We will change one small thing in this equation. We'll change one small thing in this equation that we just learned. That is, we will make income equal to 0. Remember, break-even point is the production quantity at which income is 0. So, once we have that, we can solve the equation for that quantity. So, let us see if this formula makes intuitive sense. We'll take an example of a manufacturing company that will make something useful, like we can continue with our pizza example. So here you can see that we have massaged the equation a little bit to show what the break-even quantity should look like in this equation. Let us use some simple numbers to understand everything we have learned so far. First, read the problem carefully. Notice that our P, the price per unit, is given to us at $10 a pizza. The variable cost V is given at $5 a pizza, and our total fixed expenses are $2,000 a month. Let us suppose we are selling 500 pizzas currently. So, if I ask a question about per unit contribution margin, you can go back to our formula or simply say that it is P minus V. That is, price I charge for each pizza minus the variable cost I spend on each pizza. So that would be $5 a unit. If I want to know the total contribution margin, I can either multiply my contribution margin per unit by the number of units sold, or I can take total sales revenue minus total variable cost to get total contribution margin, whichever is easier. Now, let us take a look at the break-even point question. How many units must I sell before I am out of the red ink zone, that is a point of 0 losses, which also happens to be a point of 0 profits? In any case, we can use the formula on the previous slide, which was fixed expenses divided by contribution margin per unit, or we can argue it the other way. Since I'm left with $5 after covering my variable cost, this money will be used to cover my fixed expenses. So each time I sell a pizza, I can put $5 away to cover my fixed cost. So to cover a fixed cost of $2,000, how many pizzas should I sell given that I can contribute only $5 from each pizza sale to cover 2,000? That should be 2,000 divided by 5, meaning 400. So I keep chipping away at $2,000 of fixed costs at $5 a pizza till all my fixed expenses are covered. That level of sales is called break-even point. One final question. What is the amount of dollar sales I need to cover all my expenses, both variable and fixed? Once again, I can multiply my break-even point in units by the price I charge for each pizza to get break-even point in sales dollars. There are other ways of getting to this, which we will see shortly. We can try to nail these concepts by looking at what we call a contribution margin type income statement. Do you remember the traditional income statement in which sales revenue minus all costs equal net income? This is roughly the same thing, but it calculates contribution margin rather than gross margin because it uses variable and fixed costs rather than manufacturing and non-manufacturing costs, which is what we used in the traditional or regular income statement. So we will compare these two types of income statements in a little bit. Here we have an income statement for our pizza store. When it sells 0 pizzas, naturally it has no revenue, and since it made nothing, it spent no money on direct material and direct labor, etc. Hence, its total variable costs are also 0. As a result, its total contribution margin is 0 because in all three PV and contribution margin are multiplied by Q, which happens to be 0. Now comes the fixed cost of 2,000 per month, which has to be spent whether you made or sold pizzas or not. If we take our $2,000 out of 0, we will end up with a negative income of $2,000. Now move to the second column where the company is making 400 pizzas. You can multiply P, V, and CM by 400 units to get total contribution margin of $2,000. If we subtract total fixed costs out of it, we will be at break-even point. So by the way, We learned another important point here. At break-even point, the total contribution margin is exactly equal to total fixed costs. Lastly, we have the column in which we show what the company is making currently. Remember, it is selling 500 pizzas a month, so after taking out all their expenses, they are making $500 of income. Now, notice how a jump of 100 units caused a jump in profit of $500. This is because contribution margin per unit is $5. After the break-even point, there is no more fixed cost to pay, so all the contribution margin after that point can go into the pocket of the company as profits. So, additional 100 units times per unit contribution margin of $5 will give us the additional income of $500. So, if we understand the equation to calculate break even and net income, we will not have to prepare an income statement to determine what the net income will be at any given sales level. If in the example, we know that if our pizza store sells 1,000 pizzas in a month, income will be how much? Can you do it? At 1,000 pizzas, income will be $3,000. How is that? Remember, the break-even point was 400 units. So, if the company sells 600 units above the break-even, it will make 600 units times $5 of contribution margin per unit, or $3,000 of income. Clear? We should understand contribution margin and contribution margin per unit well by now. It is useful to know contribution margin as a percentage to solve certain types of problems. Contribution margin ratio is calculated by dividing the total contribution margin by total sales, or by dividing unit contribution margin by the unit sales price, expressed as a percentage. For our pizza store example, contribution margin ratio is 5 divided by 10. Since we take sales price to be 100% always, contribution margin for this example is 50%, meaning that each $1 of increase in sales leads to an increase in contribution margin of 50 cents, meaning 50%. Now that we have that, we can reuse our basic equation to show the relationship between profit or income and CM ratio. Remember, our equation where total revenue minus total variable costs minus total fixed costs were equal to income. If we multiply both top and bottom of the equation by P, we would not be doing anything illegal. Now, look at this equation carefully. The first portion of this equation is contribution margin ratio, which is multiplied by total sales revenue. When we subtract fixed costs, we can get to income without worrying about per unit variable cost and price per unit. This tip will be helpful in solving some problems later. Let us pause and answer a few questions. This question is to test your understanding of the break-even point formula. What makes break-even point go up or go down? It might be helpful to remember the formula. Remember, the formula is fixed cost divided by contribution margin per unit. Fixed cost is in the numerator, which means above the line, and contribution margin is in the denominator, which means any reduction in fixed cost will reduce the break-even point, meaning they will move in the same direction. And increase in contribution margin will decrease the break-even point, meaning they would move in the opposite direction. Why is that? Increase in contribution margin will decrease the break-even point because we will be dividing by a bigger number. Now, let us go through our options. Option A says increase in fixed cost. Right away, this is wrong because increase in fixed cost increases the break-even point, not reduce it. Can you see that? Option D is also out for the same reason. Option B has the fixed cost direction right, but the CM direction is wrong. If we decrease the contribution margin, we will be dividing by a smaller number, which will mean an increase in break-even point. The correct option is C, where both fixed costs and contribution margin are moving in the right direction, which means numerator goes down and denominator goes up. So our answer is C. In this problem, You are given the break-even point already and the selling price is given as P. Keep the formula handy and read the options. Option A is correct because selling anything above 1000 units will result in a profit. Option B is also correct because sales of $40,000 at $50 a piece will mean only 800 units, which is below the break-even level. Thus, it would result in a loss. Option C is exactly right too because 1000 units at 50 means sale of 50,000 at break even, meaning zero profit. So D, which says all are correct, will be our correct answer. Here we have a simple contribution margin type income statement and we have to figure out several things. First, the contribution margin ratio. Do you remember the formula? Contribution margin ratio is contribution margin divided by sales. So $20,000 divided by 50,000 will simply give us a contribution margin of 40%. Now see if we can get the break-even point in dollars. Remember, not in units, but in dollars. You can be a little clever here and use fixed cost divided by contribution margin ratio to get this one. Remember, break-even formula with contribution margin ratio simply multiplies the break-even formula for units with a price on both top and bottom. So, whenever you need to get to break-even point in dollars rather than units, you can always use the break-even point formula with contribution margin ratio. Part C can be solved a short way also by using the income formula with CMR, or can be solved a long way by remaking the income statement. Let us look at the short way first. Using the formula on slide 7, which is contribution margin ratio times sales revenue minus fixed expenses are equal to income. Contribution margin ratio here is 40%. Sales revenue increase is 50,000. So net income will go up by 20,000. If you cannot remember the formula, you can always make the income statement with new sales revenue of 50,000 plus 50,000, that would equal to 100,000. Since variable cost will also double to 60,000 at double the production, our new contribution margin will be 40,000. If we take out the fixed expenses of 12,500, we will get new income of 27,500, which is 20,000 higher than the old income of 7,500 given to us in the statement. As I said, this method is longer, but it will always work. Let us review one more time to make sure that we did not miss anything. There are several ways of getting to the break-even point depending on what the question is asking. Break-even point is where revenues equal cost. It can also be described as a point where contribution margin equals fixed cost, or it can be derived using the formula we have derived a few minutes ago, or if you are comfortable with the income statement of the contribution margin type. Now, let us change the formula very slightly to answer some more interesting questions. Remember, break-even point is where company is making no profits. Even though it is important for companies to know that point, most companies are interested in earning a positive profit. So in order to incorporate a desired profit into their break-even point equation, we do not assume income to be zero. If we solve the equation again for number of units to be sold, we will see income in that numerator. Intuitively, it says that now we have to sell enough units not only to cover our fixed costs, but also to earn a certain level of income as well. So, in our pizza store example, if we want to make a monthly income of, let's say, $5,000, then given our fixed cost of 2,000 and our contribution margin unit of 10 minus 5 equal to $5, we will need to sell 1,400 pizzas, which is 1,000 pizzas above our break-even point of 400 pizzas. Let us go a little deeper into profit planning with the help of break-even point formula. We just saw that any target or desired profit when no tax rate is given can be incorporated into our formula. So we can solve for break-even point in units or in dollars. But What if you want to take home $1,200 a month but will have to pay a tax of 40% on whatever you earn? So now you want target income after taking out your tax. Once again, you can do it the short way by putting tax rate straight into the equation, or a long way by first converting the after-tax income number to a before-tax income number and then solving for break-even point. Recalling our pizza example, if price is $10 and variable cost per unit is 5 and fixed cost is $2,000 a month as before, the equation method will give us a solution of 800 units. If you want, you can first convert the given income number to an after-tax number and then plug it into the equation. In this example, since tax rate is 40%, we will be left with 60% of what we earn. So, if $1,200 of target net income equals 60%, what would be 100% that you need to earn before tax? You will need $2,000, which you can plug into the profit equation to solve for Q. This method is longer, but it will work. We have two easy problems here. Let us see if you can do them. In the first one, you are given P, V, F, Q and tax rate. Let us plug them into our profit equation. So, we have contribution margin per unit times Q minus fixed cost equal $10,000. Minus fixed cost of 10,000 equal to our net income, except that we take home only 70% of what we make given the 30% tax rate. So our our after tax net income should be $28,000. Do you get it? Next one gives you everything you need for the profit equation except the price. But in any equation, as long as there is only one known, you should be able to solve it. Here, we need to find the price, so we write the profit equation, move everything other than P to the other side and solve. We can do the same thing if we have to solve for a missing V or F, as long as there is one equation and one unknown, can't we?